Welcome, everyone. This is Learn to Unlearn with Luca Majno. Once again, our hourly show with my special guest, Frank Gregory Ford. We're back to learn how to unlearn history from a standpoint of truth and from some of the best sources available today. And my guest Shirley has proven this fact time and time again. 3 decades in the military at some of the highest levels of government, warfare, Secret Service, even a medic. And it's from this vantage point that he can look down and blow the whistle on some of the most up-to-date and daring subjects today and some of the most secretive. But first, since I love to talk about Native American history, true history, on this continent called Turtle Island, where we live now, where we thrive now, which we call North America, they call Turtle Island. It's really important to mention a few things from the original people's standpoint. And I proudly give you today, on this day, June 25th, 1876, quote, "I will not always be remembered, but when I am, it's on June 25th, 1876. That was the day the Lakota kicked my ass." From the script of The Last Samurai, portraying the guilt-ridden life of a surviving soldier of the 7th Cavalry, brilliantly played by Tom Cruise, quote, "He was a lieutenant colonel. His name was George Armstrong Custer. No, he was not a good lieutenant colonel. He was arrogant and foolhardy. He was a murderer who fell in love with his own legend, and his troopers died for it. And they got massacred because he took a battalion of 211 against 2,000 angry Indians." So, Greg, that's how I wanted to start the show today, because we are June 25th, even if it is Sunday, and we're working for our show next Friday. And it's important to say that because that was today that happened in 1876. So how are you, Greg?
That's a good way to open up, Luca. I'm fine. I'm in fine form, ready to go.
Yeah.
Okay. All I can say is that the last time I was at the Little Bighorn, I was there, and it had a prairie fire roar across it, the whole site. And at that point, nobody had seen what the fire was going to reveal for almost 100 years. And it turns out that they found a soldier, one of the what was it, the 260 soldiers. They found another soldier that had never been found. He'd crawled under some of the grass and actually had died. And they consider him now, and they've done some anthropological research on the skull and his uniform, and they found out, yes, who he was, and they found out that he couldn't speak a word of English, and that he just happened to be following and assigned to George Armstrong Custer. And yes, he was a lieutenant colonel, but he had been demoted through a scandal in Washington. I believe it was Teapot Dome. And so he had been demoted from general, which he had received in the Civil War. He had been demoted to the lieutenant colonel position, and he was out to return to that position by doing something great.
Right.
Like killing Indians.
Exactly.
Okay. So, and what was amazing was after the fire swept through the area, they found this poor young man, and then it rained on the place, which brought all the little artifacts to the surface. And it's truly amazing to stand there at a place like the Little Bighorn that has so much importance and significance, to watch all these little artifacts rise to the surface of the ground. Everything from eyeglasses to belt buckles to bullet casings, everything was rising to the surface. Truly amazing last time I was there. So yes, we have a lot to talk about today. My goodness. So what would you like to speak about? The CIA, Vladimir Putin, Mad Vlad, stating that yes, he did give the orders to disable and make sure that Hillary Clinton did not win. Would you like to hear about the CIA interrogators now that are going to trial? okay, which is very significant for anybody who's stayed up with my case, because of the my case is in the Supreme Court waiting to be heard, and it's basically the same material. So it all is very, very important right now. But in essence, I think that this issue with Russia is going to be the end. It's going to be the bullet, the silver bullet that puts paid to Donald Trump's presidency. So would you like to take it from there?
Absolutely.
Luca?
Absolutely. Whatever your heart desires.
Good, good. Okay. So go ahead with what you have, because every day amazing news is coming out.
Well, I think it's important. I mean, it's true in all our shows. It's impossible not to mention the CIA, and I think that's really funny, because in every single show, everything's intertwined and everything relates on a larger scale. And we always say that word, the CIA, in every single show we've done, even on Global News Update. So here we speak of the culprits yet again. This word comes to mind. It's called destabilization. And Greg, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't think I am. They're really good at that, and this is their thing. So I have an offering to make in this show. It's a list for the people out there that are still on the fresh side, or the newly interested people that don't really have time to research, the newcomers. The key word here is destabilization, and this is my offering to this show. Okay, I have a list of countries that I want to read to you now in their honor. Since the Second World War, there are 20 instances of the United States attempting to overthrow a foreign government and 31 successful overthrows. Check this out. China, Albania, East Germany, Iran, Guatemala, Costa Rica, Egypt, Indonesia, British Guyana, North Vietnam, Cambodia, Laos, Ecuador, Congo, France, Brazil, Dominican Republic, Cuba, Bolivia, Ghana, Chile, Greece, Costa Rica, Australia, Angola, Zaire, Portugal, Jamaica, Seychelles, Chad, Grenada, South Yemen, Suriname. How do you pronounce that, Greg? Suriname? Is that right?
Yes, Suriname.
Okay, Suriname. Fiji, Libya, Nicaragua, Panama, Bulgaria, Albania, Iraq, Afghanistan, Somalia, Yugoslavia, Ecuador, Venezuela, Haiti, Somalia, and again, Syria. And the question here is, why will there never be a coup d'etat in Washington? Because there's no American embassy there. I thought that was cute. So
well, I suggest, first of all, that you add the United States of America to that list. Okay? And everybody's saying, oh, not the CIA, not their 6 media agencies that can absolutely fabricate all information that goes out to make the CIA look like anything but what it is, a completely rogue, out of control agency built on the whole premises of utilizing America for the plutocrats and the kleptocrats. All right, the powers, industrial powers, and the moguls that are behind them. Okay, they used and utilized and always have, and now they've gotten very, very good to the use of technology, the ability to completely sway all political thought and choose who they are going to put into the office of the presidency of the United States. If you hadn't noticed, right now we're having a dueling contest between intelligence agencies, okay, and the former Soviet agencies. All right. Yes, I know they're called Russia now, but those are some of the best agencies in the world, because the Russians have always participated, and they've developed their intelligence gathering skills. So right now, and you can just go turn on the TV, folks, to find out what is happening, and you watch the death throes of an overreached intelligence agency and a government like the last one, who was supposed to be transparent. Okay, that's the Obama administration, who did its best to destroy all the whistleblowers, that came forward to report every type of crime, every type of abuse that you can imagine to the people of the United States, and several went to prison. All right. So what we have here is the chickens are coming home to roost, to put it simply. We have the head of the former, the megalithic Soviet Empire, who I'd pretty much come up through the ranks with in terms of the U.S., watching this very, very sharp operator from the Komitet Gosporovesnoi Bezopasnosti, okay, the former KGB, and that is Vladimir Putin, or as we like to call him, Mad Vlad. All right. Yes, several things have come up in the last 24 hours that I should, talk to the American people about. All right. First of all, say what is going on now that the Russians are attempting to manipulate a vote? I'm sorry. What happened? 4 weeks ago with the French vote? Okay, very clearly, the Americans were caught manipulating that vote. All right, that vote in France. Anybody care to comment on that? Please call in. All right, or write in. That's up to you. But sorry, the CIA, the Cocaine Importation Agency of America. All right. Oh, funny thing, every type of drug from World War II that proved to be profitable, opium, heroin, cocaine, has been run and controlled and protected for importation into the United States by the CIA, the Cocaine Importation Agency. And now, because they've been so busy running around producing hideous programs to subjugate the American people, okay, and none of them have really worked, but the first one was the Phoenix program. Guess what I'm seeing, folks? You have a militarization of your police forces now. It's called the Phoenix program. Guess who put it together? The CIA. Guess where they launched it? In the Republic of Vietnam. All right, finely tuned it. It was hideous beyond all description. There was a few brave souls that tried to stop it, and then I pick up a book today called "The CIA as Organized Crime" by Doug Valentine, a true hero in every sense of the word for putting this book together. And what do I find? A complete description of what we are doing in the United States, okay, what our rogue agency is doing to us, and what was completely done in the Middle East. Now, nothing like success to propose the idea of success, okay, which is something that bureaucracies do not tolerate well. All right, and I can ask this question quite simply: is what policy has the United States and the CIA put forth in a foreign country that has been successful? Iran, okay, and Guatemala. All right. Now I just named two. Luca, you gave me a list of, what was it, close to 50? 50 names?
Yeah.
Okay. Now, is that what we call a success from one of our tax-supported agencies?
Democracy.
Okay. Is that what we call a success? Is that what they call Iran is a success? All right. Guatemala was a success. Okay. El Salvador was a success. Dick Cheney. All right. And so what do they do? Okay. I cut my teeth on the Phoenix program in Iraq. Oh, wonderful. Great. Iraq. Okay. Abu Ghraib prison. Oh, I just picked up another news article about a psychologist named Mr. Mitchell and another psychologist by the name of Mr. Jessen. All right. Who, by the way, they were at Abu Ghraib with my command, and along with somebody that they never mentioned named Larry James, okay, a colonel Larry James. All right. And they're trying to perpetuate the myth that torture was successful. Those idiots in the agency are trying to perpetuate the whole myth that yes, torture works, torture's good, torture gets results. What? What have we become now? Okay, what has happened since that idiot George W. Bush managed to wrestle the United States of America and not be held accountable by, quote, and I'm quoting him, a goddamn piece of paper. Okay, that's the high opinion he had of the United States Constitution. All right, and the Bill of Rights. We'll toss that in there too.
Mm.
Yes, he is an idiot. Okay, I don't think anybody would debate that question. Okay, but the fact is yes, it was the Bush family who are the generals of the CIA, by the way. Okay, I don't think anybody can contest that. The Bush family, yes, they contacted one of our allies and said, give us a reason to impose this Phoenix program on the United States of America and the tax-paying citizens. All right. Yes, the government works for the people, by the way. I don't think there was any question about that. But not if you ask these folks. Not if you ask these folks. You have Mr. Bush, starting from World War II, okay, supposedly being a war hero. What is it about these people that are pilots or think they're pilots becoming war heroes? Okay, holy moly! You know, John McCain, okay, George H.W. Bush, all right, and then his idiot son, you know, who had a little problem landing his plane. He was supposed to have been the best pilot that some Air Force general said he'd ever met. Uh-oh, I don't think so.
Oops.
After a little problem with cocaine, okay, in his medical background, and a little problem that it took 7 attempts to land his jet fighter on a runway in Texas, okay, and yes, cocaine was detected in his system. Now, you know, I just thought of this too. What is it about cocaine and the Bush family? All right. What was it, Luca? Week before last, I was at the Phil Marshall home. Okay. The ex-Phil Marshall home, because the Phil Marshall family was slaughtered by an Israeli contract death squad. Okay. That is always on call by the CIA to handle people like Phil Marshall, who have tried to warn the United States people about the setup that was 9/11, and that's exactly what it was. And what happened there? What happened as a result? Okay, we had 3,000 American dead, and the imposition. And this is even more important: the imposition of the Phoenix program on the United States of America. The Phoenix program. Yes, the CIA is in control of everything, folks. How tough was it, Luca, just to get this open network so I could tape this show? Okay, it took us 2 or 3 tries.
Yeah,
right?
and this is, I just wanted to mention that too. Thank you, Greg. This is the reason why we don't have a video of him today, because the voice is great, but there's always the NSA screwing around, and this is the 3rd video that we're trying to put together, and I think you'll be able to help us out with the fiber optic next time. We'll see what we can do with that.
Right, absolutely. And by the way, I do have a case, you know, for all of you who don't know who I am, about what is it? Blowing the whistle at Abu Ghraib, the torture and mayhem that was going on by my command. Yes, the 205th Military Intelligence Command. You know, the commander was one of the defendants, Thomas Pappas. Okay, you can see him. Punch any of those names in on my court case, and you will see it. All right. So what we have is a situation here where the United States government is determined to put you into the taxpayer and citizen into the Phoenix program. The Phoenix program. Do I need to spell that for you folks? Okay. Hopefully I don't, because maybe you can spell all right, something like this: concentration camp, as in FEMA, as in New Mexico, as in Arizona, all right? And, you know, I've had a few attempts at people calling in or attempting to write in saying, I had no idea what I was talking about. Oh, well, in the short period of time I've been able to check out a few of those people, okay, guess what I found, all right? Yes, the agency is monitoring. Yes, the agency is concerned about the information, this information getting out. And yes, yeah, the antagonist that called in on my show last time, okay, who said, oh, the murder of a senator who was going to testify against who else? Hillary Clinton, the queen of death by misadventure. She's the queen of death by misadventure. Well, guess what? That senator did die, and there's been a full-scale, what do they call it, gag order on the media since that time. What is going on in this country, people? Let me ask you, you know, the people that are listening to the show, what is going on? We've got a president, the president of the Russian Republic, openly stating now that yes, he did attempt to overthrow the election process of America. Well, and then we got another president saying, Obama, saying they didn't know what to do about it. They didn't know what to do about it. I'm sorry, I'm mystified by this. And then we have somebody else that comes on, okay, named by the name of Donald Trump, who says, "Oh, well, I'm going to start torturing people again. Yeah, we need to kick everybody off Medicaid. We need to do this. We need to overhaul the health bill because my lobbyists that are lobbying me, okay, and paying me money don't like it. From the AMA, they don't like it. All right. He has some turtle by the name of Sessions. He looks like a turtle. Have anybody seen him? He looks like a wimpy, scrawny necked turtle. Okay. He gets on and says, oh, well, we don't like marijuana, and we don't, you know, to accent that Southern accent. We don't like CBD, all the things that are proving strangely effective in treating people's maladies. Okay, we're getting that, okay, from this guy. Okay, so we got somebody that was fraudulently elected in the White House right now. We've got a murdering, psychopathic, thieving, lying bitch who is challenging him for the position. We've got people dying, and I won't forget the part that says, yeah, that there's human trafficking going on, and all the goodies and all the profits are going into the Clinton Foundation. Oh, it makes me misty-eyed to think how good those people are. Okay,
Greg, you know what? Don't move, because we have a 3-minute video that we're going to put in this broadcast right now that shows John Pilger and Julian Assange talking about Hillary, the government of Saudi Arabia and Qatar. And I'd like us to just pause here and watch this for 3 minutes. We'll be right back.
There's a early 2014 email from Hillary Clinton, so not so long after she left Secretary of State, to her campaign manager, John Podesta. That email, it states that ISIS, is funded by Saudi Arabia and Qatar, the governments of Saudi Arabia and Qatar. Now, this is I think this is the most significant email in the whole collection. And perhaps because Saudi and Qatari money is spread all over the place, including into many media institutions. All serious analysts know, even the US government has mentioned or agreed with that some Saudi figures have been supporting ISIS, funding ISIS. But the dodge has always been that's it's just some rogue princes using their cut of the oil money to do whatever they like, but actually the government disapproves. But that email says that no, it is the governments of Saudi and the government and Qatar that have been funding ISIS.
The Saudis the Qataris, the Moroccans, the Bahrainis, particularly the Saudis and the Qataris, are giving all this money to the Clinton Foundation, while Hillary Clinton is Secretary of State, and the State Department is approving massive arms sales, particularly to Saudi Arabia.
Under Hillary Clinton, and our Clinton emails reveal significant discussion about it, the largest ever arms deal in the world was made with Saudi Arabia, more than $80 billion. In fact, during her tenure as Secretary of State, total arms exports from the United States in terms of the dollar value doubled.
And of course, the consequence of that is that this notorious terrorist jihadist group called ISIL or ISIS is created largely with money from the very people who are giving money to the Clinton Foundation.
Yes.
That's extraordinary.
Well, there you have it. Julian Assange and John Pilger talking about Hillary, and I mean, they're going back and forth, right? The government of Qatar and Saudi Arabia fund the Clinton Foundation. Clinton Foundation goes back and funds ISIS and ISIL, same thing. Greg, any thoughts on that?
Sure, I can. Yes, ISIL, okay, or ISIS. I call it ISIS,
Same
as
thing.
in Israeli. I'm sorry. How's the audio on that?
Very good. Israeli Secret Intelligence Service. Yes.
Service. Yes. Right. Well, let me see if I understand on that audio. He says exactly what I've been saying all along. Okay, is that Abu Bakr al-Baghdadi, when I recruited him in the city of Samarra, Iraq, yes, he was, first of all, he was a Mukhabarat colonel. The Mukhabarat was started and controlled and run and directed by who? The CIA.
I knew it.
The CIA, all right? The CIA, and guess what? Saddam Hussein was our employee since 1959, all right? And I found out what the big joke was with our politicians when the Iraq War was going on. And oh, by the way, Barbara Bush couldn't be bothered with the coffins of dead soldiers during this period of time. The Bush family never attended one single funeral of a soldier that was killed in Iraq. Don't know if you know that or not. But anyway, I'm sorry, I'll get back to Abu Bakr al-Baghdadi and ISIS. Yes, ISIS was started in Samarra. It wasn't started in Raqqa. It wasn't started in Mosul. It wasn't started in Syria. It was started in Samarra, all right? And the first person who started it was Abu Bakr al-Baghdadi, and he was a colonel, and he was in league with Israel, okay? Who do we know and love, of course, is Hillary Clinton, okay, behind that. Yes, Israel runs ISIS. How did that happen? Okay, well, let's just ask Hillary, because she made sure that, what was it, 8 days ago, $1 billion, $1 billion US dollars was transferred in munitions and weapons from the US Army to ISIS. Now, does that sound like we're serious about defeating these folks? Okay, the helicopter escorts, when they move their armor vehicles, guess where those come from? Okay, those Apache helicopters, those are the U.S. helicopters, manufactured helicopters. Okay, the generals. Who do you think the generals are of ISIS? An Israeli general. How long ago was that? What, 4 months ago was captured, and an American retired general was captured. Okay, so no, folks, I hate to break this to you, but Hillary Clinton, what was it? Lindsey Graham John McCain,
Yes.
and
Lieberman.
and that little weasel. Okay, what was his name? Okay, that other little weasel, Joe
Lieberman.
Lieberman. Thank you. Gee, you think he's Israeli? Do you think he's an owner of another owner of a dual set of citizenships?
I was just going to say that. Yes.
Yes.
And you might want to congratulate Hillary on the Stinger missile crisis that was the trigger for what was it, Benghazi?
Yes, Benghazi.
Right.
And I think I can tell you folks, guess what? Guess what's been knocking all these planes down? The American people haven't heard about all the planes being shot down. Okay. Well, here's the importance of that, as they're being shot down with American Stingers. All right. The flight from, what was it? Paris to Egypt. Okay. Paris to Cairo, Egypt a while back. Okay. They couldn't figure out why the windows were blown out. When they finally found it and located it, guess what? It was a Stinger missile that brought that plane down. I hear all this nonsense about the Russian plane in the Sinai that killed 223, 25 Russians. All right, what was it at the Sharm el Sheikh, recreation port? Okay. Well, surprise, it was a missile that brought that plane down too. All of these were behind the missile transfer that was supposed to be going through Libya to the Syrian rebels that were fighting Assad. Well, guess who gets an $8 million commission fee? It was Hillary Clinton. Okay, guess who sold 20% of our radioactive isotopes? Okay, Okay, to Vladimir Putin, Mad Vlad. Okay, the man that pulled her out of the position. It's hard to believe that there's that many idiots in America that would vote for a psychopath like her, but yes, that is true. Okay, but thank goodness for Mad Vlad doing that. We would probably have her as president right now. Okay, it's unbelievable. It's unspeakable. Okay, where pedophilia, all the pedophilia that's going on that nobody wants to talk about, just in Washington right now, which is largely directed by the Clinton Foundation. Okay, the Clinton Foundation, and I'm sorry, John Podesta and Robbie Mook, the very same people that when she was defeated within 2 hours. She was defeated at the election, and she was busy beating up on her staff, physically assaulting everyone, drugged out of her mind, okay, or basically stoned out of her mind, or basically drunk out of her mind. All right, it was Robbie Mook and John Podesta who said, "Hey, we've got this Russian thing that we know about because Obama didn't have the faintest idea on how to stop the Russians from interfering in our election." Kind of, that rings a bell. Kind of like what the George Bush family did when George Bush came to getting elected in this country, right? Wasn't there something mysteriously called hanging chads? Okay, and what happened in Ohio a few years ago? Okay, when his second term, when very clearly Kerry was ahead. Okay, John Kerry was ahead. And what happened in Ohio? Mysteriously, the numbers started to change. My goodness, it just doesn't feel good when it's on the other foot, does it, Hillary? Okay. And yes, for those of us who can't figure this out by now, yes, Hillary is the candidate of the Bush party. Okay. Oh, did I say Bush party like a political party? I meant Bush family. I'm sorry, the Bush crime family. So yes, it was Robbie Mook, okay, who everyone's still trying to treat like a celebrity, and Mr. Pedophilia himself, the pedophilia pinup boy, John Podesta. All right, I can't believe some of the things I'm seeing, but John Podesta excuse me, who actually sat down and said, how can we salvage this disaster? Let's blame this on the Russians. Okay. Let's blame it on the Russians. Okay. All right. Gosh, and we'll use that process, that bad old digital voting process, to show how the Russians have manipulated our vote. Okay. So
Right.
we've got the whole Clinton campaign willing to try to start a war with Russia right now over Russia doing what it's always done. Okay. And don't we have the largest ComSec, communication security groups in the world designed to stop that? And they're always looking for situations like this. And they're called the NSA for one. All right. The same folks that are disturbing and distorting this interview. Okay. Don't we have something called the CIA? Don't we have something called the DIA? Oh, there's Michael Flynn again. Okay, Michael Flynn just keeps popping up. Okay, all I can say is I'm just a disabled former intelligence agent myself, who, when I reported the hideous atrocities going on at Abu Ghraib, I was strapped to a stretcher and tortured. Okay, tortured and flown out of the country without a single set of orders. Okay, I've told you folks this. I've put that out. It doesn't seem to be getting through what we have here. We have a coup going on. All right, that's what this amounts to, is a coup. All right, it's an active coup happening on the United States of America. There was nothing new about what I saw in Iraq. Okay, nothing new. All right, the CIA's been doing that since the Vietnam era. All right, the Phoenix program. But what they found is, hey, we can take over the United States and utilize this program to terrorize. Oh, there's the T word again. Terrorize the population, like they did in Guatemala, like they did in El Salvador, all right, like they did in Vietnam, okay, like they did in Iran, okay, like they attempted to do in Iraq, okay. Hey, folks, you better wake up, all right? Quit laying back in your Barco lounger and watching CNN, assuming that is real news. Trump had a point. That is fake news. It's we'll call it pimp news, all right? What was it, last week? It came out that the country of Bahrain is paying CNN to go ahead and give them a good rap on the news of America, okay? And then put a bad rap on Qatar, all right? The small little tiny country of Qatar, supposedly the main supporters of ISIS. Oh, really? Oh, really? I'm sorry, Saudi Arabia. Who's footing the bill for that? I'm sorry, John McCain and Hillary Clinton, okay? Who's footing the bill for ISIS? All right. You don't ever hear that. You ever hear that on CNN? No, you don't. Okay. So I'm sorry to sound like I'm a little bit annoyed here, but I really am. All right.
Well, I think I would be too if my cough that I have came from my torture and just being in Iraq. And you can also add the DU incident also. With Doug Roque talking about the depleted uranium that they used in, the Middle East to kill everything. It's, the Middle East is glowing with that right now. And, he came back. He doesn't remember how many operations he had on his liver or kidneys, or he's a real mess because of it. And every show that we have, you end up with that cough, which should, ring true about what they're doing.
Yes, absolutely. But what is going on finally, and I can say this about Trump, is that he finally pushed something through to support the veterans. All right? Gosh, really? And what happens? 20 minutes later, the veterans from World War II that had mustard gas, they were used as guinea pigs to test mustard gas and all the problems they got from it. Finally, they can get medical treatment now. from World War II. The average age for these people is anywhere between 82 and 92. All right. And now they can just get benefits. What has been going on, okay, with the veterans in this country that have to go fight these disasters called wars, all right? Well, first of all, I can tell you this is, okay, and I'll add another disaster. I'm sorry, I'll add another disaster to this. The burn pits, okay? We'll keep this relative right now, today, recent. The burn pits in Iraq. How many people now, because of those burn pits, have inhaled toxic chemicals and fumes to where they now have an average, some of the people that show up into the VA have an average of, and they're 20 years old, 25 years old, whatever, of 3 to 5 separate cancers coming out of Iraq now, okay? And that's directly connected to the burn pits, something I've been fighting all this time. I haven't stopped a day, in trying to get veterans to get benefits for burn pits, for the burn pit veterans, I should say. Okay, and also, I just found out there's whistleblower protections. Oh, finally, whistleblower protections that have actually brought truth, and I'm one of them. Okay, truth to the American people. And what do we have? We have Trump talking about filing charges on several whistleblowers. We had, like, you can ask John Curacao of the CIA about torturing Abu Zubaydah, okay? And John Curacao actually went to prison for 2 years. And we won't mention Bradley Manning. Oh, I'm sorry, what did Bradley Manning do wrong? He showed pictures of American troops annihilating, just innocent people, all right? News crews, annihilating news crews, and so forth. Oh, gosh, that's embarrassing. Let's throw him in prison for 30 years, okay? That's how long he got, was 30 years. We have Julian Assange. Julian Assange. Has anybody seen him lie about anything? Okay. I'm sorry. I haven't seen him lie about anything. I've seen him catch several of our lying, thieving politicians, especially Hillary Clinton. Okay. And where is he sitting now? He's sitting in an embassy. Okay. Sitting in an embassy. I mean, Sweden dropped the charges against him and he still can't get out of the embassy. All right. Donald Trump says, hey, thank God for WikiLeaks, but does that help Julian Assange? He's still, trying to give the American people a little bit of truth about what their out of control rogue government and the attack dog of that rogue government, the CIA, has been doing to them. All right. And then and we won't even mention Ed Snowden. The American people haven't even seen, was it 1% of what Ed Snowden knows that is being done to the American people in their name? And here's the caveat, folks. You're paying for all of this. You are paying for it. The American government doesn't work. The citizens don't work for the government. The government works for the U.S. citizens, all right? I know that's been lost. I know it's confused, okay? It's been getting away from us for all these years because you've been buying their useless rhetoric, all right? Yes, America runs the 6 major media corporations, and guess which way they're slanted, all right? Yeah, I mean, is there anybody out there listening? I'd really like to know, because I'm getting a little tired of this. Every time I turn on the TV, I get something. Every time somebody sends me an article about something, you've got to see this, okay? Yeah, it's very clear. All of everything I say is absolutely true. We've got to demand accountability from our politicians to stop the monkey business, the nonsense of having personal interests in countries like Saudi Arabia, and then letting Saudi Arabia pay for all our terrorist attacks that we get on us, okay? Somebody asked me about, what's going on in the UK right now, in the UK. I said, first of all, you better go check out this group called Global Solutions. Oh, global solutions. Well, what do? They're supposed to be saving and recovering people that are kidnapped by these bad old terrorists.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, really? Oh, really? Okay. Find out. Go check out their operations and actions. Find out if they have any connection to the CIA, Culinary Institute of America. I'm sorry, Cocaine Importation Agency of America. I get confused. Okay. Now, but that's interesting. I get confused because, quote, I was tortured, strapped to a stretcher, and tortured to find out what media agency I had reported the torture and abuse of hundreds, literally hundreds of Iraqi prisoners of war, okay, that I had to save, by the way, because I was the medical support, and tried to save. I didn't save anybody, it turns out, all right. They were all murdered, all slaughtered, okay. Even the banker of Saddam Hussein's banker, Abu Sajr, was murdered and slaughtered by the CIA when they got their hands on him, when they got him away from me, and they got access to him, and he was dead within 72 hours. 72 hours. Okay, they beat him to death. An old man. They beat him to death because he could put the connections, the purchase and diversion of nerve agents, nerve gas, weapons of mass destruction, all right, to Saddam Hussein by the Bush family. It was Abu Sajr who did that. Okay, and guess who murdered him? The CIA. Okay, what part about this doesn't anybody understand? Please call in and ask me to refine. This is what intelligence agencies are supposed to be doing. They're supposed to be keeping an eye on any threats. Okay, threats to the American citizenry, but that translates to the threat to rich people property, rich people resources, rich people banking systems. That's who the CIA works for. Like I said, they don't work for the American people. They work for the oligarchs, folks. The oligarchs. Show me a single issue where they've stopped a terrorist attack. Okay. They don't want to stop a terrorist attack. 9/11, Mr. Silverstein. Excuse me. The end results of my torture are coming out when I cough like that.
Yeah.
Mr. Silverstein, he made how much money that went to the state of Israel for the 9/11 attacks? Okay. How many billions was that? I'm sorry.
4.7 something.
Yes. Yeah. And who did the engineering on bringing those towers down, those reinforced towers? Okay. The World Trade Center. Yes. Who did the heavy lifting? Israel. Okay. What part about that doesn't anybody understand?
It gets worse. It gets worse too, because just to slap us in the face now, and for the young people to go to Ground Zero and look at the beautiful museum that they have and all that, that was designed by an Israeli. And it just goes on and on. So Israel does the crime. They cover it up. It's a Rothschild event paid by the Saudis, and now the state of Israel creates the 9/11 memorial on Ground Zero so that the kids can go in and keep being fed the lie, and it can just keep going over and over again. So,
by the way, if you say Israel to any of our major networks, okay, you won't work there. No. If you put something, like what I just said, into any newspaper article about Israel, like you mentioned the fact that Israel launched a false flag attack on our ship. Mm-hmm. It was called the Liberty.
Yeah.
All right. We just had, the reason I bring up the Liberty, we just had the anniversary of the attack on the Liberty.
50 years. Yeah.
How many times has Israel even acknowledged it? And then I find out, okay, who supports Israel more than anybody? All right. Hillary Clinton. Hillary Clinton. Okay. Mm-hmm. Okay. Joe Lieberman. All right. Oi, Joe Lieberman. Yes.
Do you remember what Hillary said about the 2,000 Gazans? She said, "I'm not going to kill 2,000 Gazans for Israel. I'm going to kill 200,000 of them."
And Joe Lieberman, I agree. And, Luca, and Joe Lieberman, what does he do? He just gets nominated to take over the position, the empty position of Mr. Comey. Okay. And now I have personal business with Mr. Comey. Okay. And anyone can look this up. Yes. When I finally got out of Iraq, strapped to a stretcher, shot full of sodium amytal interrogation drugs that are illegal, developed by MK Ultra.
Yes.
What happened? I debrief the FBI. I give them exacting information on where those weapons of mass destruction were and why they were there, who put them there, the nonstop physical torture, that hundreds of Iraqis were being subjected to, how many millions of Iraqis were probably killed, okay, during our invasion and so forth. Do you think Mr. Comey, for one instance, would say something and do something that would actually go against his former boss, Mr. Mueller, Glenn Mueller? Oh, Garb, there's another coincidence. Robert Mueller, not Glenn Mueller, Robert Mueller, who covered up the entire investigation of 9/11. He and Philip Jellicoe, all right, and a report was produced every night that I debriefed the FBI to, with a pending attack on the Los Angeles harbor, okay, sent to Mr. Comey. Do you think I received, first of all, forget credit, okay, there's no such thing as credit, okay, in this business, but do you think I've received any kind of acknowledgement or any kind of support, especially when I had to bring my own lawsuit against the United States government to expose the torture and abuse and the lying and the thieving that the Bush administration was doing on the American people? Okay. And did I mention thievery? Why do you think they call the green zone in Iraq the green zone? Because they put too much water on the grass? Okay. Really? Well, here, folks, here's something that you can look at if you want to find out where all your billions of dollars went. Yes, billions. Okay, just what rat hole they disappeared to? Okay, they disappeared down something called the Cyprus Express. All right, a plane directed C-130. Okay, plane was directed every day from the Green Zone, Iraq, Baghdad, to Nicosia and Larnaca, okay, in Cyprus, okay. $2.5 billion was disappearing at a time. Money packets, all very nice. That's government work for you, okay. And it all disappeared until somebody named Henry Waxman, Senator Henry Waxman, actually did an investigation on which I had reported, okay, and found out, yes, this is all the case. Hundreds of billions of dollars were paid into the bank accounts of road dogs, homies, best friends, compatriots, okay, of the Bush family, okay. As in, anybody in the UK care to check out where Mr. Tony Blair went to work after he finished his illustrious career as a prime minister? Anybody care to check out his bank accounts in the Cyprus Express on Cyprus? Okay. Anybody care to do that? Okay. This is what I'm talking about, people. Okay. I get tired of saying this. I get tired of standing up, to the government, all the threats I've received from the U.S. Attorney's Office, blah, 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 all the nonsense, all the bullshit. Okay. It just goes on. And then I finally get into the Supreme Court, and now I'm getting feedback saying, oh, they don't want to see where my case goes. What has happened to, first of all, this country? We don't have the country we used to have, all right? But it started after World War II when these politicians, as in the Bush family, okay, realized how easy it is to get the whole world involved in a world-class war, okay, called World War II. and then turn right around and say, okay, we got you into this disaster. You can fight your way out of it. Okay. How many Bushes do you think were lost in World War II? How many Rockefellers do you think were lost in World War II?
Exactly.
All right. Okay. You know, I mean, the biggest scandal I've heard so far is Joe Biden's son. Okay. He was actually killed by the burn pits. The burn pits actually killed former Vice President Joe Biden's son. They gave him brain cancer. Okay. And even then, do you see our government acknowledging that? Okay. You know, the Vice President's son who was in Iraq, right where I said, and I filed my initial reports on the burn pit issue, Balad, Iraq, you know, his son contracted this brain cancer and was killed. He was the former Attorney General of Delaware. You think somebody would have said, okay, look, maybe there is something to all of this bad stuff that's being reported. Oh, no, it's, you know, no one said a word. Nobody has challenged any of this. And I don't really blame the American people, because for 2 or 3 generations now, we have the George Bush family. There's that name again. Bush family keeps coming up in all of this.
Yeah. Okay.
The Leave No Child Behind, or as I call it, the Leave No Imbecile Behind program. All right. We have politicians now that were raised on Leave No Child Behind. Okay. Most of the poor slobs that go in and volunteer for military duty, and yes, I hate to say it, but they're all graduates from the Leave No Child Behind program. All right. Because they don't know any better. They're taught not to know any better. Definitely not taught to question authority, which they should have been doing all along. All right. So what we have is a perpetuating nonstop disaster that is absolutely coming into into the massive stages of global scandal, generational, historical, global scandal. That's what we've got, because nobody has challenged. None of our politicians have stood up, okay, and challenged any of this. All right. And I think it's about time, you know, to find some people like Claire McCaskill. Okay. Remember Jesse Ventura?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Remember Jesse Ventura? He quit because he couldn't trust his own government to keep him alive.
Absolutely.
All right. Okay. Remember the Kennedys? Okay. You saw what happened to the Kennedys. You know, people like this we need, okay, right now. We don't need some psychopathic, lying, thieving, murdering. Mm-hmm. What did Vladimir Putin say? That he has direct evidence now of 108 murders committed by Hillary Clinton. I'm sorry, I think Hillary Clinton refers to those as death by misadventures.
Right.
Okay. All right. And the last one was last week, mm-hmm. when that senator was going to testify. And yes, it is a true case. I've been having people say, no, it's not. No. And that, you know, and by the way, that would make it 108. Okay. The murders that have happened in connection with Hillary, the pedophilia, the puppy mills. She even has puppy mills. Mm-hmm. Okay. And what kind of monster is that has puppy mills? All right. That's what we have. Okay. But she's making noise like she's going to become the president of the United States as soon as we get everybody's act together to impeach Trump. Okay. And Trump better do something, by the way, because yes, he is now in a perfect position to be impeached. All right. Got the evidence. Yes, he has caused problems. He theoretically he did win the election illegally with nefarious means using an intelligence service. Mm-hmm. Okay. You know, I think we're at a really precarious position that say exactly what I'm saying about where we're at and what we should be doing. Okay. In a very dangerous position. All right. And the first thing we need to do is hold everyone that got us to this position accountable. Okay. Is that possible? You know,
I think so, Greg. And very quickly, because we only have a few minutes left, what we're going to do is we're going to do this show in 2 parts. This is going to be part 1. But very, very quickly, just some parting words for us.
Yes. Okay, I do have some parting words. All right. I'm sorry because the NSA screwed up this transmission. Okay. They did this intentionally, Luca. All right. And I'm sorry for your listeners to have to tolerate my constant coughing, okay, which won't go away. I've had it ever since Iraq for obvious reasons, okay. I just want everyone, to be aware and to watch every single issue, okay, in the news and question it. Don't accept it for face value because we're in a really dangerous position. Groups like Chinese intelligence have been trying for years to cyber attack us, okay, and they're doing it. All right, they're doing it. Okay, I think you told everybody my qualifications in these areas: electronic intelligence, human intelligence, and intelligence and analyst. And we're talking, somebody that's been trained several times over many years to handle these situations. And we should never have been put in this position ever. The American people should not be footing the bill for this nonsense right now. So we need to stop it, and we need to make sure that everyone is held accountable. I just got my report. I get reports on cocktail parties going on in Washington. Do you think they're concerned about the American people in Washington? No, they're convinced that the next tax bill, okay, when I say tax bill, it's the new tax bill that's being passed to, quote, lower the tax rate on the top 1%, okay, and they're supposed to be doing something about taxes on the middle class. Good luck on that one, folks. Good luck, okay. But that is supposed to, energize and jet stream the entire market, okay, as we know it. All right, that's what they're saying right now, as of last night, in some of the top cocktail parties in Washington, is that this is all supposed to happen. Okay, we're not talking about presidential heads that are actually involved in intelligence wars. Okay, we're not talking about the Bush family making several $1 trillion now. Okay, we're not going to mention that. But from now on, you need to question everything you hear. All right, and call your representatives and say, no, this isn't up to you. It's we, the American people, that are pushing these issues. We, the American people, that pay your salaries and decide your fate. All right, that's what's important here, and that's why we want a full accounting of why we have gotten here, why we have arrived to this position where we're in right now, with a P.T. Barnum snake oil salesman in the Oval Office, and a certified psychopath that I've known, okay, for a long, long time. I think I mentioned to your listeners about presidential security, okay, and guess who was after Richard Nixon? It was Hillary Rodham Clinton, okay, Hillary Rodham back then. All right, so that's what we need to do. And believe me, I want to have questions sent to me, okay, so I can answer some. All right. I can't really tell and get feedback, and that's what intelligence is all about, is feedback, okay, from your listeners, until they call in and say, yes, what about this? No, you're full of it on that. Here's why. I want some feedback, okay,
right,
from your listeners.
And that'll be on the YouTube channel. They can go on the YouTube channel, which is where they're going to hear the broadcast anyway. Right. Greg, what I want to say to you is that it's always an honor to do a show with you, and I say this to you on the phone every time we talk, and I'm going to say it again. Don't believe us. Don't believe a word we say. Just take the key words. Do your research yourself. Wake the hell up. Always ask questions, and just remember, they don't care. Those 3 words can all be assigned to absolutely everything, every single subject that you talk about, whether it's Iraq, whether it's the Bush family, whether it's CIA, whether it's the Middle East, whether it's the wars, whether it's poisoning the water, the air, the soil, the food. They don't care about the people, and they never have. They've been funding both sides of every war since 1776. So we'll conclude the broadcast here, and we'll do part 2 ASAP. Thank you so much for joining us, Greg. It's been an honor as usual.
Pleasure, Luca. Have a good evening. Thank you.
You too. Thanks. Bye.